Hey there, Wildcat fans. I'm joined with a special guest of mine, Sean Miller, our head basketball coach for another edition of CatNation. So, Coach Miller, we have outstanding talent coming in with the recruits as of late, specifically at the guard position with Nick Johnson and Josiah Turner. What has the transition been like for you from recruiting at a school like Xavier and now recruiting at the University of Arizona?
Well, our tradition in Arizona is so impactful in our recruiting efforts. What Coach Olson did and his great staffs that he did, and obviously both the teams and the individual players. Players like Damon Stoudemire, like Luke Walton, Jared Bayless, Jordan Hill, Chase Buttinger, Derek Williams, and we could just keep going on and on and on. Richard Jefferson, Andre Iguodala. Those guys represent so much in our recruiting efforts moving forward. Young people want to become them. They want to go to a place where you can compete for championships, and also where when they show up to play a game, when you get 17 home games a year, that they play in front of a great crowd and a national audience. So I think the biggest difference is the length of time, the great success that's been in place here at Arizona. It really makes our job easy moving forward.
Definitely. So we lost our go-to player, Derek Williams, to the NBA, if there is such a thing as the NBA right now. Who do you see emerging as our key player or players to step up in his absence?
Well, our most experienced players, I would say, are very, very important in replacing anyone that we've lost. Not just Derek, but we lost Momo, we lost Jamel Horn. We might lose Kevin Parham or might lose him for the short term. So guys like Kyle Fogg and Jesse Perry, who started a year ago, Solomon Hill, all of them have worked very hard this offseason to become better. And they have the most experience. They're the natural leaders of our team. And I think for each one of them to be better as players, as leaders this year, it's going to be really important to us having success.
You mentioned Kevin Parham. What will his absence change? How will that change the dynamics of the team?
Well, he's one of our best players. He's one of our most versatile players. And he's someone we are counting on. So losing him would be a big blow to our team. We won't be as good of a team without him. It'll also really force a lot of young players to step up, different players to have bigger opportunities. And that's why we want to have a true team, not just dependent on one or two players, but we really want to be able to do it as a team, night in, night out, both on offense and on defense. And I hope that one of the things we create with this year's team is a great sense of balance, where on a given night, different players play well, and that we always have contributions from really our entire roster.
So Arizona has a long tradition of winning. We've had 25 straight years of NCAA tournament appearances. When you first came in, we didn't make the tournament. It was the first time in 25 years, but you remained optimistic, and you led this team the following year to the Elite Eight. Were you surprised at all by how well the team performed in the tournament?
No, to last year's team's credit, we got better. We weren't a great team in November or even December, but I think we became much improved in January, and eventually, last year's team became one of the best in the country. That doesn't mean anything for this year, and all of the past is the past. 10 years ago, if you won a national championship, the next year you wouldn't even think about that program not making the NCAA tournament. That's happened really 4 different times in the last 6 years. Ohio State was in a national championship game. They made the NIT. North Carolina won the national championship, didn't make the NCAA tournament. Florida won back-to-back national championships and almost didn't get in for 3 consecutive years. The way college basketball is today, there's so much more parity. It's such an even playing field that right now there's no guarantee that we're going to make the NCAA tournament. We're going to have to earn it all over again. And when you have somebody like Derek Williams leave early, it hurts your program, it hurts the next year's team. So that's why recruiting is so important, and that's why young players in your program have to contribute more now than ever before. If you look at some teams at Arizona, for example, Sean Elliott was the National Player of the Year as a senior. He was here for 4 years. You look at some of the great players that were in the 80s and early 90s, and that's why when you think about streaks like 25 years in a row in dominant programs, that dominant level is much different today. So I think that makes it even more exciting for a college basketball fan. But in terms of the parity and the level of making a tournament or not, it's changed dramatically, and that's why someone like Kevin Parham not playing is really impactful to our team. I'm hoping we can get him back.
In the tournament last season, you beat a pretty great program at Duke that seems to continuously have, a strong showing every single season. How can our team this season build on the success of beating a program like Duke?
Well, it's not just beating Duke. Duke was part of the path in the NCAA tournament. It's more along the lines of winning a Pac-10 championship, winning 30 games, being so close to being in a Final Four. When you're a part of a team that does that and you return the following year, to me, you have a renewed sense of confidence, a real trust and belief in what we're doing as a team and as a program. You know what it takes a lot more than you once did. So that's all the positives when you're a part of something like we were a year ago.
Definitely. So obviously it's no secret the NBA is having a lockout. What kind of effect do you see the NBA lockout having on the college game?
I think more basketball fans will watch college basketball. It's just if you love the game, you're not going to turn it off. You're not going to watch no games. I think a lot of NBA fans in that period of time will tune into college basketball perhaps more than they would, and that's really healthy for our game.
One big question that all fans want to know, what are your expectations for the ZonaZoo this season for all of our home games?
Well, I think that one of the things we've established is great crowds in the Pac-12. Our home games in the Pac-10 a year ago were so well attended by ZonaZoo, and they're the heartbeat of our arena. What I hope happens this year is that we have larger crowds in the months of November and December, because it's what I just finished talking to you about. Playing Valparaiso in our season opener, in Duquesne in our second game of the year on a Monday and Wednesday, going to be two really important games. Both of those programs are going to have good seasons. We could lose both games. One of the things that we want to have in place for both of those games, or any game we play, is the best crowd that we can have. That's always an advantage. I really look at last year's success, our home game against Washington, that if we didn't have that crowd on that night, I don't know if we would have won. And if we didn't win that game, we probably wouldn't have won the Pac-10 regular season championship. So it's really a shared partnership between our crowd, in particular our students, and our team. And it's together that makes us so special. And hopefully we can have that in place from day one this year, not just after Christmas.
You heard it yourselves, ZonaZoo fans. We have to get involved early on in the early months and really get behind our team. Thank you, Coach Miller, for your time, and really appreciate it.
Yep.
Also, Wildcat fans, don't forget to text ZonaZoo to 37392 to get your ZonaZoo alert of the game. And remember to add us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.